My dear brothers and sisters, today we gather not as strangers, not as isolated individuals passing through this life, but as one human family, each of us unique, yet bound by the same breath, the same yearning for dignity, the same hope for peace, and the same cry for justice. In every corner of the world, hearts are crying out for a more just and compassionate world. This cry is not new. It has echoed throughout history, from the wilderness of the prophets to the cross of Calvary, from the broken walls of cities destroyed by war to the whispers of those who are forgotten in the shadows of power. The cry is the same: see me, hear me, walk with me. But what does it truly mean to build a more just and compassionate world? It begins not with grand declarations, nor with powerful institutions. It begins always in the heart. It begins in that sacred space where we look at another person and no longer see a label, an enemy, or a number, but a brother, a sister, a child of the same Creator. Justice and compassion are not abstract principles. They are ways of seeing, of living, of loving. And yet, how difficult this can be in a world where so many are told they are worth only as much as they produce, where the lives of the poor are counted in statistics and not stories, where the refugee is reduced to a burden and not recognized as a bearer of dreams, where the elderly are abandoned and the unborn are unseen. Let us not become indifferent to these realities. Indifference is the enemy of compassion. It numbs the soul. It erects walls between us and our neighbors. It allows injustice to multiply quietly, like weeds in an untended garden. The world we live in is marked by deep inequality. Some dine at overflowing tables, while others search through the garbage for a scrap of food. Some have access to education, health care, and security, while others are denied these basic rights. This is not merely a failure of policy. It is a failure of love, and love, true love, is not content to remain seated. It goes out. It seeks the one who is lost. It binds the wounds of the injured. It builds bridges, not walls. There is a story, ancient and ever new, of a traveler who is beaten and left on the side of the road. Two pass by, seeing but doing nothing. A third, a Samaritan, stops. He binds the wounds, lifts the man, pays for his care. He is not moved by obligation, but by compassion. That story is not just a parable. It is a call. Each of us must ask, who is the wounded one I pass by? Whose cry have I silenced in my convenience? To build a more just world, we must listen. We must listen to the voices long ignored. Indigenous peoples who speak of sacred lands desecrated, women whose gifts have been dismissed, young people longing for a future on a planet they see slipping away, prisoners who have known only rejection, the disabled who cry not for pity but for dignity. And when we listen, truly listen, we begin to see. We see not only pain, but also strength. We see not only poverty, but courage. We see not only difference, but shared humanity. We are not called to save the world alone. We are called to walk with one another, to lift when one falls, to rejoice when one rises, to live not as isolated individuals, but as members of one body. But this path is not easy. It requires courage, the courage to forgive when we are wounded, to speak truth when it is unpopular, to choose the harder right over the easier wrong. It requires humility, the humility to admit our failings, to learn from the least among us, to recognize that the last may indeed be first. Justice without love becomes harsh. Love without justice becomes hollow. We need both. Burning together, purifying our intentions, guiding our hands. Compassion is not weak, it is not sentimental, it is fierce. It confronts evil, it defends the vulnerable, it seeks not just relief, but restoration. Look around you, see the signs of the times. The earth, our common home, groans under the weight of greed. The oceans rise not only in water, but in warning. Fires consume forests and communities. Species disappear. These are not distant problems. They are the birth pains of a world we are called to heal. And what of war? How many children grow up never knowing peace? How many mothers weep for sons sent to fight battles that should have been resolved at tables, not with bullets? Peace is not merely the absence of conflict. It is the presence of justice, of dignity, of dialogue. We must become artisans of peace, patient, creative, committed. Peace built not on conquest, but on encounter, not on suspicion, but on solidarity, not on weapons, but on wisdom. In our cities, too, there is a silent violence, the violence of loneliness. An old man sits on a bench, unnoticed. A child returns to an empty home. A young woman scrolls through 1,000 images, but feels invisible. Technology can connect us, yes, but it cannot replace tenderness. We are made for presence, for eye contact, for hands that hold, not just texts that ping. In this journey toward a more just and compassionate world, we must begin again and again with the smallest acts. A kind word, a shared meal, a visit to someone forgotten, a gesture of welcome to someone who feels unworthy. Never underestimate the power of these things. In the eyes of the world, they may seem insignificant, but in the eyes of God, they build the foundation of a new world. Young people, I speak to you especially. Do not let anyone tell you that you are too idealistic, too inexperienced, too small to change things. The world needs your fire, your dreams, your questions. You were born for this time, not by accident, but with a purpose. Ask the hard questions. Refuse to settle for a world that excludes. Break the silence. Start the conversation. Be the first to forgive. And to the elderly among us, you are not a burden. You are a blessing. You are the memory of our people. Share your wisdom. Tell your stories. Teach us to endure, to hope, to believe that even in the darkest night, the dawn will come. To the leaders of nations, of companies, of communities, remember that power is not given for privilege, but for service. The measure of leadership is not how high we rise, but how low we are willing to stoop to lift others up. Govern not with fear, but with mercy. Make decisions not based on profit alone, but on the good of people and the planet. To the faith communities, the churches, the synagogues, the mosques, the temples, do not retreat into walls. Go out, go to the margins. That is where truth often lives and where love is most needed. Let your prayer lead to action. Let your worship lead to justice. Let your words be matched by deeds. And to all of us, no matter who we are, let us remember that compassion is contagious. When we forgive, others are more likely to forgive. When we care, others are inspired to care. When we act justly, we invite others into that same courage. We may not be able to fix everything, but we can begin. We can be seed, planters, bridge, builders, peacemakers. The road is long, but every step matters, and we do not walk alone. So let us walk together, with our differences, with our dreams, with our shared humanity, toward a world where no one is left behind, where justice rolls like a river, and where compassion is not the exception, but the rule. And when the journey is hard, let us not grow weary. Let us look into the eyes of those we meet and remember, here is the image of God, here is my brother, here is my sister, and here is the world we are called to build together. There is a deep hunger in the human spirit, not only for bread, but for meaning, not only for safety, but for belonging. And this hunger cannot be satisfied by policies alone, by economic models or political slogans. It is fed by community, by compassion, by a sense that we are seen and valued simply for who we are. The great tragedy of our time is not that there is too little to go around, but that what exists is hoarded, whether wealth or attention or love. We see the paradox. In an age of abundance, millions still lack clean water. In an age of connectivity, millions still feel unseen. In an age of vast knowledge, we struggle to live wisely and kindly. There is a violence that does not make headlines, the violence of a child growing up without affection, the violence of workers treated as machines, their exhaustion ignored, the violence of families torn apart not by war, but by economic cruelty, the violence of silence in the face of racism or misogyny or any system that dehumanizes. And what do we say to this? We say, enough, not with fists or fury, but with unwavering resolve. We say that every person matters. Every culture carries wisdom, every language speaks a part of truth, every wound deserves healing, every injustice demands our voice. Justice is not a theory for classrooms. It is the face of the widow fighting for land. It is the hands of the nurse caring for the forgotten. It is the soul of the teacher in the refugee camp, the child learning by candlelight, the farmer tending the soil with reverence. These are the unseen architects of a just world. We must unlearn the logic of indifference. We must uproot the lie that it is not my problem. Because as long as one child goes to bed afraid, it is our problem. As long as one worker is enslaved, as long as one person is discarded, dismissed, or denied, we are all diminished. We speak often of rights, and rightly so, but we must also speak of responsibility. Rights are sacred, but they are not solitary. With every right comes a call to defend the dignity of others, a call to participate, to serve, to build. The right to speak comes with the duty to listen. The right to freedom comes with the duty to use it for the good of all. Compassion teaches us not only to relieve suffering, but to confront the causes of it. Why are so many children without education? Why are entire communities denied access to healthcare or clean water? Why are arms so easily traded and justice so slowly served? These are not natural disasters. These are choices, and what has been chosen can be changed. There are systems, economic, political, even social, that benefit from the suffering of others, that profit from division, that treat the earth as a commodity and the poor as collateral. These systems do not collapse from pressure alone. They crumble when we withdraw our participation, when we choose another way, when we create new structures rooted in love and mutual accountability. We must become stubborn in hope, unshakable in our commitment to the good. Even when the world mocks compassion as weakness or justice as naive, we must persist, not because we are idealists, but because we are realists who believe that love is the most powerful force on earth. Even a small act of courage has ripple effects. The child who speaks up for a friend, the neighbor who brings food to the sick, the stranger who stands between the weak and the violent, these acts disturb the darkness. They remind the world that we are still human, Let us speak honestly. Compassion will cost us something: time, comfort, privilege. It may even cost us popularity or security. But what do we gain? A soul that is not hollow, a life that echoes with meaning, a world that becomes, slowly but surely, more human. We must reject the logic of us and them. There is only we. There is only one human family. When borders become barriers, when laws become tools of exclusion, when identity becomes an excuse for supremacy, we stray from the truth of our shared origin and destiny. Some will ask, but what can I do? I am just one person. And to that I say, one person is not just anything. One person can feed. One person can forgive. One person can march, can write, can organize, can dream. One person can light a candle that breaks the night. History shows us this. One voice cried out in the desert. One widow gave all she had. One prophet faced kings. One mother believed. One prisoner sang songs of hope in the dark. The world turns again and again on the courage of those who refuse to accept cruelty as fate. If we want justice, we must cultivate empathy. If we want compassion, we must learn how to suffer with, not just to help from a distance, but to enter into the pain of another, to sit beside those who grieve, to stand with those who struggle, not with pity, but with solidarity. Let our hands be calloused not from grasping, but from serving. Let our feet be sore not from running away, but from walking toward those in need. Let our eyes be tired from weeping, yes, but also bright with the joy of having seen truth, even in suffering. To those who profit from division, we say, you will not have the last word. To those who sow hatred, we say, love will rise. To those who exploit the poor, we say, your wealth will rust and your power will fade, because justice is not an idea. It is a promise written into the very fabric of creation, and if you listen, truly listen, you can hear it even now. In the laughter of children who survive, in the chants of those marching for their rights, in the silence of a mother holding her child after a long journey, in the wind that still moves through ancient trees, whispering that there is still time to change. We cannot delay. The time is now. The wounds are deep, yes, but not beyond healing. The divisions are real, but not beyond reconciliation. The burdens are heavy, but not impossible to bear, especially if we bear them together. The question before us is not whether justice is possible, but whether we will choose it. Whether we will have the courage to let go of what divides and embrace what unites. Whether we will make space at our tables, in our hearts, in our laws, for those who have been kept out. We are not passive observers of history. We are its co-authors, and every day we are writing, with our choices, our silences, our words, our work. Let it be said that in our time we chose mercy over fear. That we chose community over isolation, that we chose to build and not to destroy. So let us rise, not in anger but in hope. Let us lift our voices, not to shout over one another, but to sing a new song of justice, of peace, of shared humanity. Let us go forth, not to preserve comfort, but to disturb complacency with the fire of compassion and the truth of love. Let the world see in us the living proof that kindness is stronger than cruelty, that mercy is more powerful than might, that unity is more enduring than division. Each of us holds within us the power to heal, to protect, to include, to forgive. Let us not waste that sacred power. Let us use it today and every day to build a world where justice is not reserved for the few, but flows for all like a mighty river. A world where no one is forgotten, no one is cast aside, and no one is unloved. This is not a dream beyond reach. This is a future within our hands, and so I ask you, with all the urgency and tenderness of a shared calling, let us begin. Let us build. Let us become together the heart of a more just and compassionate world. Amen. Thanks for watching.